Hello. I am so grateful to be here. There's so many good causes these days. I'm here to thank you for supporting this one. Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you see up my skirt? I didn't realize how short this was till I got up here. Maybe I should stay back here a little bit. I don't know. Well, we'll get warmed up and then. So where was I? Oh, yes. So I'm here as a visual aid for the kind of healing services that you provide. I've never actually been a patient at the Institute for Health and Healing, but at the time that the Institute was gaining momentum at the forefront of the movement to become the first integrative medicine clinic certified in the state of California, I was back in Ann Arbor, Michigan, brushing my teeth. One blustery Michigan night, I felt a little stinging under there that caused me to look and find a sore that would turn out to be oral cancer. So one of the results of which was that I don't have a lot of saliva. I wanted to respond to the initiatives. I'm also a nurse, and I have harped forever on the importance of creating a healing environment for staff as well as patients. Now, I expect that some of you are also health professionals, and if you would like to hear the gory details of what happened to me, because I know that we love that gore, don't we? I'm happy to give you that after the show. But for right now, I'll do the shortened, cleaned up version. That sore under my tongue required surgery, after which the doctor said we got it all, and there were no obvious problems with my appearance or my speaking. 18 months later, I started having weird feelings in my mouth. By the time the recurrence was diagnosed, I had a tumor the size of a golf ball in my mouth and a 2% chance of survival. Then I had 7 weeks of radiation, which also played havoc with my looks and eating and talking ability. After the second occurrence, I had a 24-hour surgery which rearranged a lot of body parts, removed many body parts, such that part of my left breast is on permanent loan to my mouth, which you can't tell thanks to the beauty of the water bra. Although we didn't have the Institute for Health and Healing, there were no shortage of healing options back in Ann Arbor, which is Michigan's answer to Marin. More accurately, it's as if Marin married Berkeley and they had a baby that was born with really bad weather. That's what it was like in Ann Arbor. But there were plenty of healing modalities, maybe a few too many. Oh, have you heard about shark cartilage? It's great. You should have shark cartilage milkshakes. No, bovine cartilage is better. Hey, go see Sri Baba Booba. He's very holy. Try fasting. Visualize Pac-Man gobbling up your cancer cells. Oh, have you heard Bernie Siegel's new tape? Oh, go see Linda Lovely Hands. She does aura massage. Oh, here, put this crystal on your third eye and hum for 10 minutes twice a day. Oh, it was like some cosmic game of let's make a deal. And my survival rested on opening the right door. The voice in my head that I called the vile bitch upstairs wanted me to do it all. With each new suggestion, she'd caw, "You better do this one. It could be the one thing that saves you." And it wasn't bad enough that all my friends had different ideas. In between my 2 bouts of cancer, I married a man who was a rolfer. So he toted home alternative methods at the rate of about 3 a week. Jeff set up a system of planks and pulleys so that he could give me coffee enemas, which gave new meaning to the phrase having coffee together. He built me my own Rife generator. Have you heard of that one? That involved putting my feet in a pan of water. He attached electrodes to my legs and then turned up the current. I guess that maybe should have been a red flag. One night, between my 2 bouts of cancer, Jeff came home all excited because a client of his was entertaining an internationally renowned healer. He said if we were really lucky, we could get in to see this person before he had to go back to Europe. Now, my recurrence hadn't yet been diagnosed, but I was pretty sure that the cancer was back, so I went along. We entered a concrete apartment building in the otherwise scintillating town of Ypsilanti, Michigan. It soon became clear that this healer spoke no English, but through the translation, I gleaned that he was a retired Czechoslovakian sea captain. Now, I'm no stickler for credentials. But as a nurse, I'd like just a little bit more in the way of relevant training. The captain was a big, burly, windblown guy. The sea had obviously had its way with him. He ushered us into an all-beige room, empty except for one folding chair. I perched on the hard surface. Jeff sat over in the corner and watched while the captain moved his big, chapped hands inches from my body. I felt nothing except the brief breezes from his diagnostic passes. But apparently I was missing something because on the way home, Jeff said, "Doesn't he have great energy?" Yeah, I guess so. You know, he makes house calls. Really. And the next day, the captain was sailing from one end of our house to the other, spouting Slavic syllables and assessing invisible energy currents. Sure enough, he found an evil stream that ran right underneath where I laid my head every night. Through the translation, I gathered that the captain thought that the cancer was back, that I would go through a lot, but that ultimately I would be okay. I started to feel a little relieved until I realized that I was taking solace from a washed-up sailor I knew nothing about in a language I didn't understand. Still, we moved the bed. Another client of Jeff's regaled him with amazing healing stories from people eating live foods. Now, this was a while ago, and in the Midwest, I had never heard of live foods. I imagined scooping up mice and popping them into my mouth. But he instructed me that, in fact, it meant eating food that hadn't been cooked, as we now know. I agreed to go to an open house at food camp where we were going to learn to eat raw. We were planning to spend a couple of weeks there if we liked this open house. It was another dismal destination. One especially gaunt, exuberant fellow showed us around. The residential area where I would sleep on a hard cot for 2 weeks. Colonic Central, where I would, well, you know. And the wheatgrass greenhouse, where the windows were so dirty that photosynthesis was the real miracle. And then on to the kitchen, where bunches of smiling people were busy not cooking. And then the grand buffet. Raw vegetables, tossed salads with lots of sprouts, unbaked crackers that would double as hockey pucks, nut loaf. Now, I have 5 lower teeth. My diet at the time consisted of Ensure and smoothies. As usual, the bitch popped up. You better try something. But there was nothing I could eat from that crunchy array. On the way home, Jeff was all enthusiastic again. Oh boy, that's going to be so good for you. I'll die if I spend 2 weeks in that place. I don't know if starvation or depression will hit me first, but I'll never make it out of there alive. I want to go to San Francisco and visit my kids. But to tell you the truth, I hadn't entirely given up on food camp. I wanted to be able to tell one of those healing stories myself one day. A few days later, I went to a new oncologist because I was having symptoms that seemed like the cancer. She said, well, I didn't know much about oral cancer, so I read up on it last night knowing you were coming. Okay, well, now that I'm at ease. And my research shows that if these symptoms aren't oral cancer, you'll have some soon that are. I bolted from her office to the first payphone I could find, called Jeff and said, forget food camp, we're going to California to see my kids. What I didn't realize, of course, at the time was that California is food camp. But if I've learned one thing from plowing through this cornucopia of different modalities, it's that we all have to find our own way to wellness. And in the end, I found the method that works for me: shopping. Oh, there are members of my congregation here tonight. I'm happy to see that, yes. To be more specific, discount shopping. Now, yes, oh, right on. This often overlooked modality heals at the level of mind, body, spirit, and budget. Here's how it works. As with any spiritual healing path, you need to go inside and listen to that still small voice that lives within each of us. Mine often says, it's time to go to Ross, dress for less. I had a really enlightening experience at Marshall's not long ago. I arrived at the temple and got my cart. I paused for guidance. Now, it's important not to be swayed by what others are doing. Just because there's a big crowd over there in housewares does not mean that your destiny might not await you in socks. On this particular occasion, I got guidance. There's something for you in shoes. Through the linen, through the kids' department, all the way to the back of the store, into shoes, peruse the tens. A nice pair of Calvin Klein loafers, navy blue suede and leather with a silver buckle. I tried them on. They even fit, which is nice but not necessary. Now to the important part. Compare at $69.99. Marshall's price, $24.99. So I've what's that, $45 that I've already saved. As with all spiritual pursuits, gratitude is important here. Thank you, God, for these shoes and these savings. And again, the voice. There's something to match them on clearance. Back to the clearance rack. Round and round we go, looking everywhere, and then it appears with a little halo around it. Liz Claiborne, navy blue, wool jacket. And it matches perfectly. You know how hard it is to match navies. It's a size 10. I try it on. The sleeves are even long enough. It's a miracle. A little tight in the butt. Okay, God, if you want me to have this jacket, you're going to have to show it to me in a 12. Round and round the sale rack I go, because the sale rack is the one place where size really doesn't matter. No 12 anywhere. I try to practice acceptance as I go about my shopping. And I'm about to surrender to a life without that jacket. When, during my benedictory sweep of the store, what should I find? Way over in the men's department where it doesn't remotely belong. That jacket, size. This is what they mean when they say God works in mysterious ways. I'm in a highly exalted state as I make my way to the checkout for my offering. And then I hasten to the car for the final sacrament, the calculation of the savings. So I had saved $45 on the shoes, yes. Then the jacket. Liz Claiborne price, $180. Marshall's price, $79.99. But wait, it was on clearance. Red tag, $30. Oh, they're hyperventilating out there. It's a good thing we have medical people in the house. That's exactly how I felt. I had to remember to breathe as I added it up. That's like $180 I'd saved in under an hour. Now that's how much I have to spend the next time I go shopping. Can I I scientifically prove that shopping saved my life? I'll probably never know which of those many methods I used are responsible for me being here with you tonight. I'm sure the shopping had a lot to do with it. Surgery, radiation, coffee enemas, maybe even the captain. Speaking of the captain, he was right. As far as I know, the cancer is gone. And God willing, on March 11th, I will celebrate 20 years since the end of my treatment. But not only is the cancer gone, so is the rolfer. All through the cancer years, Jeff vowed that he could see through my disfigurement to my inner beauty. Then, when I felt a little better, he opted for a younger, blonder, more symmetrical woman. Now I was really alone. And since we had moved to Sausalito to be closer to my kids, I was alone in a new place, far away from friends and family. I discovered that the real bummer of being alone is that if you're not happy, there's no one to blame. This was the first time since I was 15 that I didn't have at least one man to hold responsible. As a teenager, I entered the wonderful world of relationships, armed with my mother's opinion that sex is not all it's cracked up to be, and her strict mandate that sex is something you can only do after you're married. As a student at the University of Michigan in the 1960s, I cleverly discerned that you did not actually have to be married in order to have sex. But I knew that if I did it, Mom would know. And even if it was all it was cracked up to be, it was not worth her wrath. Tom had everything I needed in a man. He was tall and said that he loved me. We went in college, had 2 beautiful sons, and then lost our marriage to the open marriage craze that hit Unitarians in Ann Arbor especially hard. And then along came Michael. Brilliant, sexy, funny, and brimming with potential. I used to specialize in men with potential. In the time we were together, Michael went from driving a cab to being a fancy lawyer. I knew all along that Michael was a bad boy, but I feared that marriage to me would settle him right down. That was an excruciating divorce. And you already know about Jeff. By the time he left, I had accumulated so many last names that one of my sons said, "You know, Mom, you could be your own law firm." And I was really about ready to give up at that point. But Terry Ellen Atkin White Kubaki Belanger is no quitter. I changed my last name to Tate, a nickname that my favorite grandfather gave me, and vowed to keep that name until death do us part.